The Three Haunted Explorers is the name of a paranormal YouTube channel that doesn't need to go exploring very far to find something spooky. That's because a scary ghost is already haunting their room, or so they claim, and this is the best paranormal evidence they've caught on camera so far. They set up a night vision camera. Soon they've caught the ghost moving stuff like cabinet drawers. Part of the drawers aren't shown, so the ghost hunters might be moving it off camera. But just when I was starting to doubt whether this scary video was real, more objects begin moving on their own. On a table behind them, caught on camera is the reflection of a possible ghost moving across the surface. They put everything back in place and wait. That's when the ghost knocks all of the objects over once again by moving a chair. The swivel chair continues to move on its own as if a ghost is pushing it. At 33 seconds, a mysterious shadow even walks in front of the camera. A ghost. The paranormal explorers would later say, although it could have belonged to them. Stuff keeps falling over by itself, which is creepy, but they could be crawling across the floor to fake the paranormal activity. I hope they make more creepy follow-up videos from a better angle to show us more of the room when it happens. If a tree falls on you in the forest and no one is around to hear you scream, do you make a sound? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Essex Haunted, the Redditor explains that in Puckley, Kent, UK, there is a forest known as Daring Woods, otherwise known as the Screaming Woods. Legend has it, those who have passed there haunt the place with their screams. Although Essex posted only a personal pic, he linked to a video of said forest, which was published to YouTube in September of 2016 by LC Play Z. In the distance, you can really hear horrifying screaming from the depths of the forest.
Oh my days. Should we scream back at her?
The man in the video asks if they should scream back, and maybe that's just what this is. Live people having screaming matches back and forth at each other from opposite sides of the woods. Or maybe, like the Redditor suggests, there's another natural explanation. Responding to whether it could be some species of wild cat, Essex writes, more likely to do with the ways the trees are very closely grown and the wind, although in a later comment he adds, I've spent 3 nights there. In the last 2 months filming, some of the noises are just, well, hard to explain. According to Essex Ghost Hunters, the village of Puckley nearby is also one of the UK's most haunted ghost towns. So nature or ghosts? Do you have a better explanation for this screaming? Ben of the YouTube channel Laney and Ben says paranormal events still occur in their forever haunted home. Here's a quick update of some of those events. First, a cup trick. Followed by the opening of kitchen drawers. Watch the silverware closely. Things get even more dangerous in another video. And the kitchen soon devolves into this madness. It doesn't appear that Laney and Ben's poltergeists are fading anytime soon. In fact, the last video makes me think their powers are only getting stronger. CCTV footage often captures the unexplainable. Posted to YouTube by UFO Mania in May of 2018 and originally from FUMON, a Ring security camera caught a strange flying entity on camera. The unknown entity shoots onto the screen, sparking in the air before settling in a glowing fuzz at the bottom of the frame. It hovers there, floating, before jolting upwards and out of sight. YouTuber Trish Robinson writes, "One world has many creations in it. We simply don't understand them. Most will never be known by the masses. Is this just one of those many creations we don't understand?" Nevertheless, this footage raises multiple questions I wish we had additional evidence to answer. Do you hear that haunting melody? It may be the vocalizations of an actual ghost. posted by Charger3933 to the Ghosts subreddit. This clip captures a ghostly song in the abandoned Asylum, Eloise Psychiatric Hospital in Michigan, which we've discussed at length in previous top 15s. Charger notes in the comments that he did not hear the singing during the visit, only afterwards when he listened back to the recording. The Redditor was wandering around the abandoned asylum with a friend when he heard disembodied footsteps coming up the stairs. As he tried to capture the footsteps via a Snapchat video, he heard screaming from a distance. He saved the video and later heard the haunting singing as well. Redditor Wubbeloved Dubbity Doo in the comments writes, obviously we have to take the audio with a grain of salt because it's possible someone was hidden in the building. That being said, I hear the screams and sleep freaky AF. The same Redditor later notes in the thread that the uploader basically caught an EVP. He also remarks that he too hears the footsteps or something moving nearby. The uploader states that he tried to stay as still as possible, and that he would also consider this an EVP, as he did not hear the singing in real time. Redditor quite fast agrees that the singing sounds like a lullaby. The Redditor tried to isolate the woman's voice, and added a clearer clip to the thread. The humming voice sounds even spookier with the audio cleared up, and is quite fast notes. You can almost hear the words safe and sound. Do you feel safe and sound after watching this video? An encounter with a lady in white might seem harmless, but this one is 100% impure. This scary video was originally published by Exploring with Danny. As Danny is exploring a wooded area, he remarks that he saw something that has completely vanished.
And the last time I was here, there was a demon here. I was faced with a demon. And this is the location right here. Now I am going to show you.
He shouts into the darkness, and that's when you see that something has not completely vanished at all. A black-haired figure with a pale face lurks just out of sight. When Danny zooms in, you can see that the female figure is making its way toward him, out of the mouth of a tunnel.
Hello? He's just like that. Hello? Are you okay? Hello?
The figure climbs out of the darkness, her dirty white dress getting dirtier, while Danny commands her to stay back. She doesn't listen.
In the name of Jesus, I command you to stay back, right now. Stay right back.
Danny turns around to make a run for it, but the figure continues to stalk him, climbing up a hill and creeping toward him.
Stay back. I'm warning you. Jesus, I command you to stay away.
What is this evil, and what does she want with Danny? He'd better escape before she pulls him back down into her lair.
What the
Fear Hides Here. Published to YouTube in July of 2021, this investigative team encountered something sinister. While investigating in broad daylight, the crew only just enters the creepy abandoned house when a scary loud racket is heard.
Mau cheiro insuportável. Pelo amor de Deus. Mas nem chegamos aqui, o que foi isso?
Something is thrown against the wall in another room and sounds like it breaks apart. In one room, the investigators break out an EMF sensor, which starts beeping dramatically when it's held up toward one part of the ceiling.
Ah, será que dá pra olhar aqui em cima aqui, ó? Ó, parei.
One of the crew boosts another up to the crawl space in the ceiling to see what's triggering the device. It looks like the crawl space was being lived in at one point, as a pair of shoes and a book or pamphlet is up there amongst the soot and garbage. As they realize the book is a diary, banging is heard in the next room. Something is opening and closing the door.
Tá cheio de nome, mano.
Caramba, cara.
Foi isso, cara?
Não sei, foi só pegar isso aqui.
Olha aqui a porta, cara. Olha a porta.
Nossa, velho! Que isso, mano?
It looks like the hidden figure doesn't want that diary to be read. The cameraman checks outside, but there's nothing. A short while later, another bang is heard, and that's when the diary spontaneously combusts. Cameraman is holding the diary when a corner of the paper catches fire. He throws it to the ground in surprise.
Ô, vamos ficar esperto, porque aqui é eternite, mano. Se varar alguma coisa aqui.
Olha lá, ali, ó, tá caindo ali, ó. Ei, ô, negócio.
Oxi, velho.
Pegou fogo do nada?
When he picks it back up, a glass breaks in the next room.
Nossa, cara.
Cara, o negócio começou a pegar fogo aqui do nada.
Atrás, não sabia.
Tem uns símbolos aqui, ó.
Ali, ó.
O que tá escrito aí em volta desse símbolo?
Puta que pariu, o que é isso?
Velho!
Causing him to throw it down again. When they gain the courage to pick it up again, another bang is heard, although its source remains unseen.
Tinha um Lúcio Te Adoro por aqui. Toma, filho.
Caramba, cara.
Olha aqui, que é isso, velho? Puta que pariu.
Nossa, mano. As abelhas.
Mano, será que esse...
Nossa, mano.
They enter another room, clearly afraid of what's going on around them and the entity that they've made angry.
Será que
Sai
esse...
da porta, espera ela se esconder um pouco, velho.
Puta que jeito, cara. Aqui, o negócio tá caindo aqui, velho. Aqui, ó.
Aqui é laje, vem aqui, aqui é laje. Vem pra cá.
Puta que pariu, a casa vai cair, mano.
Feio, a gente ficou... Vai ficar preso aqui um tempo, mano.
Later, they are simply standing in a room capturing video when a fire lights beneath one crew member's feet unbeknownst to him.
E agora, velho?
Tá pegando fogo aí, feio.
Another runs towards him and pulls him away, and the fire goes out on its own. For the grand finale, they enter the main room, and one of the crew appears to see something in a gap in the roof. A scary shadow leaves the gap as something breaks, causing the crew to vacate the premises ASAP.
Caraca, feio.
Mano, vamos como é que... E agora, cara?
Ali, ó. Puta que pariu. Vamos.
Nossa, mano.
Nossa, velho. Vai, sai.
Corre.
Vai, cara.
Sai.
What was in that diary? Something incriminating? We'll never know because the spirit doesn't want us to. Don't you hate it when you're alone in your haunted house and the ghost girl comes out to play? Published in March of 2018, YouTuber Gencor shares this video of what he claims is the Ortega ghost girl. The man taking the video greets viewers, showing them around his living room. He then gives us a tour of his home. At one point, a stand-up fan in one of the rooms falls over, apparently of its own accord. You'll find out later that this is the haunted room. He leaves, lights an incense stick, and after a while returns to the scene of the incident. A toy moves out from under the bed as the man speaks to the spirit, saying they told him she wanted to talk to him and that he's going to close the door. You hear a sing-song voice, that of a little girl.
Dios santo. Dios, dijo hola.
When he shuts the door again, a loud banging is repeatedly heard.
Tengo miedo, la verdad. Tratando lo suficiente.
He opens it to find a basket in front of the door, not where it was last seen. Needless to say, he hightails it out of there. If you have no idea what's going on here, Aries Bautista has you covered in the comments. She writes, the girl played 3 times hard. He should not have opened. It is assumed that by touching 3 times, he opened a portal that the demons used to enter. Well then I guess he should have kept that portal closed. Footage from the volcano of flames wasn't enough to make you steer clear of volcanoes. This one from Japan's Mount Ontake just might. Published to YouTube by Robert SC1 in September of 2014. This video, reported by BBC News, shows footage of mountain climbers whose climb is about to be rudely interrupted. Mount Ontake erupted on September 27th, 2014. Obviously, the folks in this video made it out alive, but others weren't so lucky. Imagine being encompassed in this tomb of a cloud. This is definitely an incident that you would never fully shake. This unexplained shadow was uploaded by a paranormal ghost hunter named K. Owen. I think it could just be a fast-moving insect, especially since this was recorded on a summer night in the South, but according to Kay, this is the spirit of a poltergeist in Kentucky who eventually went on to become quite destructive. If Kay's story is to be believed, then this unexplained shadow is the spirit of a person who took a woman's life in this camper years ago. The deranged paranormal entity would eventually go on to destroy the camper by burning it down just 2 weeks into the paranormal investigation. This video of a speedy silhouette looks like it has to be in fast forward, but as the timestamp shows, it somehow manages to cross the room in less than 1 second. I can only assume that this shadow person has been seen at least once before, hence the bedside camera. Notice how all of its features remain blacked out despite there being plenty of natural light. What's particularly worrisome is how it clears the room in an instant and then comes back into the frame to linger by their bedpost some more. Apparently the two seem to share a mutual fascination. Most of the passengers have on headsets and are watching a mid-flight movie, but one of them sees a reoccurring image and takes out their phone. This brief clip is the final instance of what they saw. Floating up from one of the seats is a formless mist that briefly swirls into the shape of a twisted face and disappears. All airlines are smoke-free nowadays, but I suppose that could be another possibility. A photographer pulls his car over just outside of the Dera War Fort in the Pakistani desert. He keeps his dash cam running as he adjusts his camera equipment to get a better shot. While he is busy snapping pictures, a mysterious shadowy figure hurries down the road. No other cars or people are around for miles. There's no reason for someone to be walking this great distance by themselves. They get towards the end of the road and quietly disappear, which leaves only two possible explanations. Either this was a real highway ghost encounter or just video editing. A family is watching television when a mysterious knocking sound pulls them away from their show and into a frightening situation. Listen to this part and tell me if you can hear it too. They sit up and hear two more knocks, much deeper than before. It almost sounds like two heavy footsteps coming from within the room. As he opens the door, but according to him, there was nothing to protect the home against. Absolutely no one was on the other side. One more observation, an orb happens to go by at the exact moment they hear the knocking sound, which I think could be a signal that someone's already found its way into their home. While light can certainly play tricks on us, and on a camera, things can get creepy. Posted to the Ghosts subreddit, Garno7 explains that he and some friends were hanging around their campfire near a lake, and one of them captured this on his phone. The clip shows a figure appearing to run from their group of people into the roaring flames. Watch as the camera pans from left to right. Can you see it? While many in the comments say the figure is nothing but a lens flare. A couple Redditors counter that argument. Redditor Patrick RS Ghost writes, "At first I thought it was some flare or something due to the transition from dark to light very quickly, but when I looked closer I could see something start to move within the crowd at around the 2-second mark, almost to the left of the little girl in the pink sweater, right as the camera starts to pan, and upon looking again, I can totally see what this Redditor is talking about. So now I think there's a good chance this could be paranormal, because when you take the time, it seems to sync up." 3 friends are exploring an abandoned house and feel like it could be haunted because of how creepy it feels. They know there's a ghost in the hallway and they try to talk to it.
If somebody's in here, say or do something.
When nothing happens, they realize the house isn't haunted after all and start laughing at how they thought there was a ghost nearby, and that's when they get a real scare.
He scared you? Yeah, shit, here it is.
As they run from the ghost in the hallway, one of them starts laughing and says, "You did that," to his friend. But his friend, the oldest of the group and bravest of all, sounds scared pale when he says, "No, I swear." We don't necessarily see anything, but there's no faking that level of fear, and so I believe this scary loud noise was caused by whatever paranormal presence they felt the need to summon and interact with. A YouTuber named Confuseo Mental orders a box off the dark web that he's not so sure about, so he puts on some gloves. The first thing he unfurls is an old scroll with what I think could be ancient Hebrew text, translated if you can. I will admit the paper itself looks like it could be artificially aged, but who knows? Wrapped and locked in a tiny casket with similar text adorning the top. Again, translate if you can, please. Something tells me that this is either a blessing to help guide this tiny soul to the other side, or else a warning telling others not to open it. A warning that's totally ignored as he continues to handle the object. I'm curious about what these numbers across the top with the letter E at the end could mean. I'm sure someone out there is smart enough to figure this all out. He puts a mask on ready for the stench of something rotting, but instead finds this extra creepy demonic doll and look into the center of its eyes at 26 minutes and 13 seconds. They're reflecting light. Now that's certainly creepy. A YouTuber named Hello Ryan Holmes lives in a house that you and I want no part of. Scary noises have become part of a daily ritual stemming from paranormal activity, or so he suspects. So when it happens again, Ryan grabs a camera to see if he can catch a ghost on video.
Did you just hear that? I definitely just heard somebody run up the stairs.
Ryan thinks he hears creeping noises of a ghost running up the stairs. Ghost or not, he is definitely not alone. Camera in hand, Ryan gets no further than the kitchen before he realizes...
What the f...
All of the cabinets have mysteriously opened on their own, and when he goes to close them...
Why the f is everything open? What the f... What the f...
He turns around only to find that the ghost has moved every object in his kitchen back to where it was. It looks normal at first, but I think there is an editing cut here at 2 minutes when he briefly zooms into the cabinet for no reason at all. He could have stopped recording, moved all of the objects, and then started recording again to make it seem like it was all done in one take. Would you get on a small wooden boat in a murky pond full of alligators? YouTube channel The Omar Gosh Vlogs dives right in this scary video. Can you see the gator in the water, drifting toward them? You might think these folks landed in gator territory by accident, but it looks like this is actually something people pay to do.
Savannah looks hungry, don't you guys think?
The gators look like they could chomp them at any moment. In fact, the group is sandwiched in between them.
Look at these guys here. They so crazy to get followed by an alligator.
Break it in half, George. Break it in half.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think? Would you pay money to be gator bait? Me neither. A TikToker named Melody Zaragoza 1121 has an experience she will never forget on a flight, as she later describes simply as being not fun. All of the monitors go haywire and flash on and off in strange patterns, bathing the cabin in a green alien-like glow. At one point, they all turn on at once, almost as if there is some sort of deeper communication efforts at play. But without any further evidence, I would just as soon attribute this experience to faulty wiring, which, now that I think about it, is probably one of the few instances where a ghost could be arguably preferable. If a disembodied voice tells you to leave, you should probably listen. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Mads Entertain, the Redditor was given a warning that might be worth heeding, as he and a friend enter an abandoned house. About 1 minute into the clip, a creepy old lady voice orders them to leave. They don't leave. Instead, they search the barren house up to the 2nd floor. After exploring, the Redditor is doing his outro when something bangs overhead.
If you're new to our channel, again, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe for new content every Sunday.
It sounds like it's coming from upstairs. They hurry out of the house, and the Redditor explains that they had to cut because after hearing that bang, they heard scraping against the walls and the sound of a door opening. Well, the voice had warned them. What did they expect? This Saudi Arabian YouTuber decided to do some urban exploring in 2018. The property looks long abandoned, and they are forced to explore only by flashlight. Despite the creepy feel of the place from the very start, the men brave it out and continue exploring. It starts to appear as though the men are being watched, and on multiple occasions they check their surroundings to make sure they are all alone. It turns out their instincts are correct, as they capture what they claim is a witch. It definitely appears to be someone dressed in all black robes, with their face fully covered. I believe someone might have actually been living on the property, and they wanted to scare them away. Or do you think the YouTuber was correct, and this was an actual witch? The abandoned boys are exploring a haunted forest, where some scary things are said to lurk late at night. They reach a mysterious clearing, and while searching through the tall grass, they somehow miss a figure in blue robes, standing right in front of the camera at 12 seconds. 14 seconds later, the same figure has somehow teleported and now stares them down. In this alleged witch sighting caught on camera in the woods, a woman is hunched over and appears to have her robes pulled over her head. She moves slowly, and assuming this is real and not one of their friends, no doubt has a curse or two waiting for them upon her touch. Her very image itself might be cursed, and could explain why the video has lost most of its quality. Britton Smith is hanging around her dorm room when she notices something is apparently laying in bed with her. An invisible force appears to be pressing up and down on the flowery design of her covers, right before her very eyes. I will admit that it's hard to tell if something is on top of the covers or simply underneath, in which case it could be anything and not necessarily paranormal. Britton Smith describes this as a ghost in her dorm room, but I'd like to know if you agree with her or not. The San Antonio Cemetery in Texas could be one of the scariest places in the world to go exploring if this video is real. A ghost hunter from the Paranormal Journal stands in total darkness when some creepy things are caught on camera, and despite the lack of light, what he experiences is downright terrifying. His paranormal equipment detects movement, and then a single word crackles across the spirit box in an odd staticky voice. He never shows us exactly where he positioned the motion detection equipment, so it could be detecting his movement or a gust of wind for all we know. But here's something weird. If you look closely, there is a strange phantom light at 29 seconds, the same moment that the motion detection alarm goes off, that soon fades away. I would say there's another investigator, but I think that he might have been exploring the haunted cemetery all alone that night. If so, I have no idea what this light is, and even if it was a member of his team, that still doesn't explain the odd voice moments later that says hello.
Okay, we're out here fishing off lawn. Oh my God, it's gonna hit the boat. There it is, right down there, mate.
That's the reaction of two fishermen as an unidentified shark heads towards their boat for a closer look. It passes by them 3 times before getting way too close for comfort. This is when the two friends finally decide to make a retreat.
Oh my god. Alright. Alright, let's go. Is there anyone? Oh my god.
This is, in all likelihood, just a great white shark, but other people are saying it's too big to be a great white and that the markings are slightly different. In their opinion, this could just be a fledgling Megalodon shark that was recently born. Let me know if you agree with them, or if you think this was a great white. 2 things that you should never mess with: a Ouija board and the spirit world. Posted by Big Rig Jiggin to the Chills Narrator subreddit. Big Rig claims that when he leaves this Ouija board out on the table, something strange happens. According to Big Rig, this video has been time edited due to it taking over 70 hours to get this footage. I tried to sit and watch for the movement so I could record. The only times it was happening is when I left the room and came back hours later. Big Rig leaves a Ouija board on the table with the planchette sitting at the top pointing downward. He passes his hand over the table and around the planchette, assumedly to show there are no strings attached. Then he leaves the room. The planchette sits still for a long while, but after a time, it starts moving around the board. It appears to slide all across the board, moving around of its own accord. The movement is also shown at a different angle. As you can see, the desk is thick, so magnets are likely at play here. NitroFox0 states in the comments that leaving the planchette on the board is a big no-no, and the fact that it's trying to leave the board means the spirit is trying to escape. Never really thought of that. Now this unexplainable Ouija board activity seems even creepier. This mysterious creature sighting is rumored to have been caught on the cell phone camera of a farmer somewhere in India who kept hearing scary noises coming from the woods nearby. When he goes to the edge of the forest, all he can hear is crickets. But it's not because he's alone. Far from it. It's because the mysterious creature is silently waiting not too far away. This could be a Wendigo, a skinwalker, or some other creature that's unknown. Assuming that this is not computer effects, I have little doubt that the creature would have descended upon the farmer from the treetops had he not spotted it with his cell phone camera first. At 49 seconds, its mouth is wide open, and it looks ready to pounce. Uncharted Travel is the name of a ghost hunting YouTube channel who goes exploring an abandoned children's mental asylum at 3 a.m. With over 100 years of terrifying history involving cases of neglect and mistreatment, this derelict mental asylum is supposed to be one of the scariest and most haunted places in Baltimore. Almost immediately, the ghost hunters think they hear movement coming from upstairs, weird noises that I can just barely hear, kind of like children's footsteps.
They're upstairs. There's somebody walking the stairs.
The creepy sounds are followed by much scarier noises. They go exploring the 2nd floor of the not-so-abandoned but almost certainly haunted children's mental asylum in search of the scary noises, and that's when their paranormal investigation uncovers a mysterious brick wall sectioning off a part of the asylum with a child-sized hole in it. It's a creepy moment for sure, and not exactly something you would expect to find at 3 a.m. And maybe it's just me, but this looks like it might be a hidden room with bars behind the brick wall. Across from a children's playroom with 2 creepy dolls is a holding room with weird drawings on the wall, and much higher up, 2 round holes, perhaps marking where a caretaker lost their temper. They go exploring the rest of the rooms and start to retrace their steps to see if they missed anything. And that's when one of the ghost hunters has a scary moment and comes running back to the group.
No. The door just opened by itself. No.
Which one?
That door just opened by itself.
I do believe this part, and I'll tell you why. It's because there's an apparition behind them that I bet you didn't even see. As he runs downstairs screaming about a ghost opening the door, a scary ghost face is in the window, eyes and all. It appears again at 28 minutes and 26 seconds, a stretched out ghost face in the window, or perhaps it's their flashlight shining into the dirty glass. I'm not sure which. All I know is a half a minute later, all remnants of this bizarre ghost face in the window are completely gone. So I think it could have been a paranormal ghost sighting after all. Also, when they go upstairs to test the door that the ghost allegedly opens, they get more paranormal evidence on their equipment.
Yeah, you're getting big readings over here, Dan. I wonder why.
The beeping of their equipment turns into a solid note when they get within close proximity to the door. Notice how this solid note of paranormal evidence happens again when he actually opens the door.
Dan, those dolls are in a completely different place from when we last saw them.
Coincidentally, this is the same door leading into the children's playroom, and unless the ghost hunters repositioned them, at least one of the two creepy dolls moved by itself since the last time they were in here. So yeah, don't go exploring this abandoned mental asylum at 3 a.m. because apparently you'll see some truly weird things. Shawnee explores, takes a Ouija board into the forest and places it just outside of a haunted cottage where a man took the life of his spouse. It isn't long before his electromagnetic frequency reader starts going crazy, so he and his friends know they are in the right place and set up the board. Soon they are channeling the spirit of a small boy who only refers to himself by the initials SF. They ask the boy for his age and some other questions, but apparently it's only interested in trying to warn them about a hidden danger. RUN it spells, so they get out of there fast without properly ending the ceremony. When Shawnee explores remembers that he needs to select goodbye or risk becoming possessed, he discovers that he can't move the pointer without an extreme amount of force. It's almost as if something is not letting him move. You can see the pointer barely moving despite Shawnee pressing very hard, but I guess he could be pressing straight down instead of forward to create this illusion. I think this video is probably real, but I can't tell for sure, so give me your best guess and let's figure it out together. A YouTuber named Ice-T and his friend go out to an old local graveyard that's just off a long country road. After a couple minutes of exploring, he zooms in on what could be a creature or even someone on their hands and knees.
What that is?
I mean, that could be almost anything. But did you notice the strange flash of light coming from deeper in the woods seconds before? When shown up close, it definitely looks like a pair of eyes watching them. The air suddenly grows very still and cold, so they decide to get out of there quick, but as they walk down the road, a bright red tint overwhelms the camera for no reason. Watch this part and tell me if you think it's a glitch from the street lamps, or a warning from the other side.
I have some at my dad's house.
I have a really good one at home, but...
Dad, look, my camera screen's like red. I don't know if that's like... What
that's a light.
No, hold up. I think I'm tripping, dude. Holy... It's red again! Look!
They think they hear a sound nearby and take off. Are they running from a spirit or their imagination? This drone footage was taken somewhere deep in the Salt Fork Park in Ohio. The video starts out ordinarily enough, but then sometime around the 5-minute mark, you might be able to see something hiding in the thickets. Watch the left side of your screen closely as the drone starts to land, and pay close attention because it happens pretty fast. Many people claim they can see a large creature stop and look up as the drone passes by. Some even claim that this is a Bigfoot sighting in broad daylight. I do see what they are talking about, but I personally don't see any movement, and I think it could possibly be a tree. Let me know if you see it and if you agree. Kalen Speaks published this video in 2013. In the description, he writes, "So I wanted to drop a skit, but something paranormal happened in my house last week, and I'm not talking about a little shadow. In the morning, when my family was either out or sleeping, a garbage bin in one of the rooms of my house got thrown out at my dog, and we caught it on camera. This is completely real. Kaylin says this isn't a prank. So let's take a look at what happened.
She'd have to be behind it and hit her with her nose or her paws if she could somehow. But she's not. She's right beside it. And look, she's running. She's hauling out of the office. She's scared.
Kaylin shows the security footage of the downstairs hallway. He says no one was on this first floor at the time. In the clip, the dog runs in, sliding under a hallway table, while a small garbage bin with garbage in it slides in alongside her. Then the dog darts into another room. Kaylin thought initially that the dog had just been greedily eating from the trash, and then suddenly got spooked by something and darted off, knocking the trash bin over and taking it with her for a short distance. Then he explains why he thought differently after reanalyzing the video. He says in order for the bin to be launched that far with such force, the dog would have had to hit it, and in order to hit it, she would have to be behind it, but she was running beside it at the beginning of the clip. The bin is also rolling for an inordinate amount of time after hitting the wall for 1 or 2 minutes, according to Kaylin, while the dog watches it in fright from the hallway. At some points, the roll of the bin slows, and then it speeds up again. Is there a poltergeist controlling the trash bin? We can only guess. Abnormal Alabama is all about discussing the weirdest and scariest things imaginable, and this is probably one of their most frightening videos. These creepy dolls are said to be possessed by something paranormal according to their owner, Kevin Kane, the man in the white shirt, and they aren't afraid to show it when the host is busy talking about his own bizarre experiences with the haunted dolls. The creepy dolls provide the best paranormal evidence right in front of the camera.
They had all kinds of dolls that were haunted, were supposedly haunted. They had death masks. They actually had the cap they would put.
Not only are the creepy dolls caught on tape moving, which is scary enough, but if you look closely, you'll see one doll moves its eyes first. Its eyelids briefly twitch before the doll moves by itself. I also wanted to point out as a counterpoint that the dolls could be falling over because of how they were positioned. At 20 seconds, Kevin leans back and the other guest moves his laptop, so maybe they bumped the table and accidentally made it look like the dolls were haunted and moving on their own. Or maybe not. A YouTuber named Area Awesomeness claims these pet leeches are for more than just a show. Apparently they can help treat things, but the only way to experience these supposed benefits is by letting a leech latch on to you. And believe it or not, these ones are only about a year old and not even full size. Adults can grow up to 2 feet in length and would pack an even bigger bite. With this in mind, the whole situation stresses me out too much to try it, but that's just my opinion. Tell me what you think about this part.
They can either be fed, I guess, human blood, animal blood, whatever you prefer.
And if you would be brave enough to try, this creepy footage shot in Portugal of a strange beast that has some wondering if the chupacabra is actually real. And if this footage is finally proof of its existence, what's the chupacabra? According to Wikipedia, the chupacabra is a legendary creature in the folklore of parts of the Americas, with its first purported sighting reported in Puerto Rico. Chupacabra literally translates to goat sucker in Spanish, so when this creature was caught hunkering through the desert, it certainly turned some heads. The clip only lasts a few seconds before the odd, mannish creature disappears behind a bush. Some see the video as definitive proof that the chupacabra is real, while others question the video's authenticity. Still others believe it's not the chupacabra. It's just your average everyday CGI. Whatever the case, it has been viewed thousands of times, so it certainly struck up interest. Beware of randos crossing the road at night, especially if they look like they've just escaped an asylum. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, this creepy clip was discovered on YouTube and originally posted in May of 2020. A couple of men are driving down a highway near Riga one night when they slow down for a stray individual to cross the road. It's not clear if the person is a man or woman. Whatever the case, they've got long dark hair and are only wearing a large oversized white shirt. The pedestrian slowly starts to cross as the men pull to a stop, but the stranger stops halfway and turns around to face the vehicle head on. For a moment they stand there before heading again on their way. Those in the comments are flabbergasted as the driver from the video, with some saying that's obviously a witch, while Sony Bravo adds, I was expecting her to lash out, to be honest. Talk about an anticlimactic ending. A woman uses Snapchat to confront a ghost who has been haunting her house for 8 years.
Are you there? Oh, there you are.
I find it interesting that the ghost disappears when she lets out a startled gasp, almost as if the ghost is anxious too.
Don't be afraid, come out.
The ghost appears whenever she says hi.
I'm a little frightened at the moment. I didn't expect this to work. Hi.
Then again, this kind of looks like a smile, so maybe it's just the Snapchat app glitching out and not a paranormal sighting after all. The adventurer Abdullah Al-Anbari goes exploring an abandoned building in Saudi Arabia in search of a poltergeist, or a jinn as it's referred to in the area. There are many floors to explore and each one holds horrors of its own. He turns around to see a mysterious figure that could be a jinn or more likely the shadow of the banister in front of it. He continues to explore and the paranormal activity continues to stay one step ahead of him. The ghost keeps throwing objects at him, guiding him in a way towards a final confrontation that he is not ready to witness. He looks up in time to capture a glimpse of a scary round face peering down at him. Tell me what he says to it on his way out. Whatever he says seems to cause him much anger based on what happens next.
ما راح اذيك ترى بس ابغى اتكلم معاك ولا راح اسوي لك شيء. اتوقع انه ما في احد يا جماعه. صدق الله شيء غريب يا جماعه.
He quickly leaves before the spirit becomes any more upset. What are the jinns trying to hide? YouTube team Paranormal Mai confronts the lie of the jinn in this scary video. After walking through this empty bare home, he returns to this room where he finds a strange setup.
Bismillah. Allahu Ekber.
Did a jinn just enter this home? If so, where is it? I wouldn't look over your shoulder if I were you.
Karşımda duruyor sandım. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
A possible ghost sighting in the Indian town of Kudail has left construction worker witnesses wondering what it was they saw walking around late at night. You can hear them talking about the figure when suddenly it lets out a loud scream that all of them hear over the construction equipment. This video is real, warns the uploader, who says that this was taken by his sister's friend at 2:30 in the morning. I'm not sure if I believe him or not, but if I lived in the area, I definitely wouldn't take the chance of walking around early in the morning and finding out. What's scarier than being home alone when you think you are, but you're actually not? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Amy Dancing Again, the Redditor explains that she was home alone and making a TikTok video when she started hearing noises. She writes, I heard banging noises from the spare room we use for storage. No one else was home and there seems to also be a weird humming noise. The clip appears to be taken in Amy's room. Although faint, you can hear knocking and banging noises in the background. The strange humming sound could be a car passing or some sort of vehicular noise, but as for the banging, who knows? Can you hear that? Amy asks. Yes, Amy, we can. Time to take a leaf out of Macaulay Culkin's book and start setting up some booby traps. A YouTuber named Kelsey Davies is investigating a haunted house in a neighborhood in California with a particularly nefarious history. After setting up a flashlight in the middle of an otherwise empty room, Kelsey and her team discover an oddly shaped anomaly traveling clockwise. Nothing is dangling above them to reflect light, so like them, I have no idea what this is, but I'm open to your guesses.
It's moving, its shape is shifting.
Yeah, this thing's been moving for like a long time. We don't know what it is.
At 1 minute and 55 seconds, Kelsey claims that the object turned into the outline of a face. I think it still looks the same as before, but tell me if you can see what she means.
Maybe I like see outlines of it. Like it looks like a head. Oh my god, you can see it's like a body.
A small cluster of weird deep-sea creatures seem to be embedded inside a piece of coral that broke off and floated ashore. One of the creatures is still moving and seems to retreat from the camera upon getting sighted. I wonder what they look like out of their coral encasement, probably even scarier. Anyway, no one has identified these unknown creatures in the comments, and the uploader of this video describes them only as weird creatures at the beach and leaves it at that. So let's help solve the mystery and figure out what these are. Garbage has eyes. Posted to the Paranormal Evidence subreddit. See Holly Molly writes, first noticed the eyes about 2 years ago, the ones next to the hose reel. She says this is a black plastic bag with sand in it, with no tape or reflective stickers attached. The security footage shows the garbage bag and its eyes. At some points throughout the clip, it even looks as though the eyes are blinking. The Redditor says the eyes appeared nearly a week after the bag was placed there. Some Redditors in the comments say it's pareidolia, while others think it's a residual artifact from the camera. Are we seeing a face that is not there? Or is this a real-life Oscar the Grouch? Sometimes ghosts are just forewarning you about what's around the corner. YouTuber Paranormal Voyages shares this freaky short in which he's speaking to a spirit through a spirit box.
I just seen a shadow.
What was that? Was that you?
Whoa!
The spirit literally tells him, the bat's in, and a moment later,
whoa!
Well, the bat's in. It feels pretty hard to be a skeptic after that series of events. If you've ever had something in your home act out of character, then you might feel Alex Huff's pain. The TikToker appears to be doing an everyday makeup tutorial when her wardrobe starts to creak open.
I use the Milani 05 Soleil, so I'm gonna try that on,
and then suddenly slams shut and bursts open again. The room's light above goes out, and then, as she's peering into the wardrobe, that light falls dim as well. Alex posted a second video showing that no one is inside or outside the wardrobe, and yet it's creaking again. In the third video, she's getting her room saged to get rid of whatever evil entity lies within. Burning sage is said to provide a spiritual cleansing for the home. Hopefully it did rid of the bad energy, and Alex can go back to doing her makeup tutorials in peace. Based on the events happening here though, I wouldn't be surprised if that house is legitimately haunted. The origins of this video are mysterious, and the footage even more so. Published to YouTuber Chibonk182, the short clip is entitled Kuyang Dayak. The video shows what appears to be a beast human behind a cage. The creature seems to have an animalistic body, although no animal on Earth has ever looked like this. While its ghost white face is that of a human male's, with long shaggy brown hair. The face looks perturbed by chit-chatting of the onlookers, to say the least, but it just continues to lie there on the blue flowered sheet, its limbs moving slightly. Also known as the Krasu in Cambodian mythology, and Krasu in Laos, the Kuyang spirit is ubiquitous across the folklore of Southeast Asia. The figure appears with the head of a woman, with its internal organs trailing below her. Is that what it is meant to be? If not, then what in the world is it? A thing of myth and legend or not? This clip does one thing right, it makes you shudder in horror. Class is still in session at this abandoned school. Published by Scary and Mysterious Stuff in April of 2022, this ghost hunter set out to explore the school, which is said to be haunted by the ghost of a student who is found lifeless there. After entering the school, he hears the haunting before he sees it. A chair squeals across the ground as it's being dragged by something unseen. When the chair slows to a stop, he hears another noise. Going to investigate, he finds a swing set in action, though no one is in the seats. Same goes for a second swing set nearby. As he continues around the playground, he hears another noise. He races back to the school and peers inside the broken screens of the classroom windows. That's when he sees this, upon entering the room. This upsetting sight scares him enough to leave this place, unlike the ghosts of past students, who it appears have never left. When you go into abandoned property, don't expect to be the only one there. Published to YouTube by Double Bins in January of 2008, this video will dissuade you from ever entering an abandoned home. The clip shows some adventurers exploring an empty home, or one that they think is empty anyway. The two-story White House appears to be in the middle of the countryside. As the boys approach it, its big empty windows are like empty eye sockets, giving the house an even more sinister vibe. They enter the house, which doesn't even have a door. It's wide open to whomever dares come inside. The place is an absolute nightmare. It looks as though something tore through the house and destroyed everything in its wake. The oven door is in the middle of the living room. As the boys walk through, the one filming scans the roof, which has a window open to the second floor. That's when they see they're not alone. A figure passes by in plain view overhead.
The roof is off. Dude, oh my...
Needless to say, the boy who captures it on film immediately flips out, and they both race out of the house and across the field. Whether ghost or human, this is definitely something worth fleeing from. A TikToker paranormal team called Zodiac Supernatural is in the middle of the woods when this wild noise rips through an otherwise still night. Tell me if you can identify this creature, because it sounds massive and furious.
Really cold to be seen.
I can't tell if it's being devoured, letting out a warning call, or just going crazy at their camera lights. I'm surprised that everyone doesn't immediately run away, which makes me wonder if they actually had some idea of what it was and possibly weren't telling us.
So it's really cold to be seen.
You YouTuber Moment Films was digging in his backyard when he came across a hole covered in bricks, so he and his friend continued digging. Peeking in the hole halfway through, the kids see something metal, pipes, and glass bottles. They move brick out of the way. The kid thinks it used to be a dump before being covered up and built over top. One man's trash is another man's treasure, he says. The crew tries to figure out a way to get into the gap safely without hurting themselves. While digging, they find 2 blue glass bottles dating back to 1906 that read Milk of Magnesia. They're able to sit down in the backyard treasurescape after finding a hole with a lid leading to the underground junkyard. Here they sift through a truckload of treasure, including loads of old glass bottles, newspapers from the 1900s, rusted metal odds and ends. When they show a shot from underground, you can see the place was built with a perfectly bricked-in ceiling. The area is pretty expansive. After cleaning all the bottles with soap and water and sorting them out, they claim them as their treasure. Kids, the moral of this story is don't spend all your time indoors. Buried treasure may be hidden right in your own backyard. Klaus finds something in his basement that's so scary. He has set up multiple cameras in his basement to try and capture it on camera. All he finds is this extra creepy layer of skin dried up against the wall. Listening to the sound the skin makes when touched is enough to make me want to peel out of my own.
What in the world?
He says it's juvenile, and I'd say that's a safe bet since it can't be finished growing if it is still shedding its skin from time to time.
Ladies and gentlemen, that right there is a big snake. And it's somewhere in my basement.
You can see where the snake used the grooves between 2 stones to rub off its old skin and emerge even bigger than before. A Google search reveals snakes will come into the basement through basement cracks and even through drains if you have any plumbing hooked up down there. Once they're in, the only way to get them to leave is to remove them by hand or call for help. The description says it's over 3 feet long. Assuming he measured accurately, I'd say it's time to leave this one up to the pros. On occasion, images caught on a baby monitor can give you pause. Other times, they're downright paralyzing. Published to TikTok by Martin, the TikToker thinks this is a monster. A baby is turning restlessly in his crib. You can see a dark form at the head of the crib, but it's not yet clear if it's just an innocuous shadow cast by something in the room. But as the baby turns onto his stomach, 2 glowing eyes blink open and thin, smoky fingers reach into the crib from the side. Is this a spirit, an alien, a monster, a human intruder? Whatever it is, get that baby out of there and fast. A truck driver checks his mirror just in time to see a dusty road hazard swirling his way. Try and translate this part because I would love to hear his initial reaction word for word. The mini tornado dances all around and blocks the only exit. Getting out and running is probably not a good option because it could randomly change direction and come barreling his way. Now all he can do is stay inside and hope it doesn't move forward another 10 feet and rip off his door, which it looks strong enough to do. If you doubt its power, this bent streetlight says otherwise. After less than a minute, the tornado of dust dissipates moments before, raging through somebody's front door. We like to think that we'd somehow remain in control of any emergency, but all of this was random. His survival was based far more on chances than choices. A paranormal channel called Love to Investigate has one of the creepiest ghost videos ever. A sighting that looks real and must have been terrifying for them to have caught on camera.
I don't like looking behind shower curtains, that just creeps me right out. The bathroom again.
That's pretty cool, Alice.
They are exploring a haunted mental asylum when the spirit of a former patient glares at them from the hallway. When they look up, it's leaving as she makes a comment about the smell.
That's pretty cool, Alice. Smells like an hospital in this part, definitely.
The apparition has long black braids and wears a long dress that women had to wear at the mental asylum long ago. The paranormal investigator later comments that they had no idea they were being watched by the supernatural at the time. Had they known, they would have ran away in the opposite direction. YouTube team Rota X Investigaso Paranormal explores this haunting place where something horrible happens. As they walk in, they sense there's someone there. As he introduces himself, it sounds like someone runs off into the darkness.
Meu nome é Marco.
Aqui, Marco, na frente, aqui.
They get back to their investigation, addressing the spirits.
Vamos fazer uma pergunta aqui. Fala aí.
Boa noite. A presença que está aqui é alguém que partiu, que estava aqui na tragédia?
In one dark and scary room, their device goes off.
Maior. Por isso a equipe Rota X pede licença para estar entrando aqui.
And a second time.
Tá, obrigado pela sua resposta, tá bom?
And then a third time.
Tá, alguém faleceu aqui, né? E você poderia me dizer...
While the readings are interesting, I'm more intrigued by the person they sensed in the building who seemed to escape. A YouTuber named Underwater Ireland explores a cemetery on a dreary day. Crows cackle loudly overhead like a warning not to go any further as she treads sacred ground.
They look like Celtic type of crosses.
Underwater Island looks down and notices that all of the markers have a wide gap. I have never seen any cemetery with this problem before, have you? If I didn't know better, it almost looks like the buried have been trying to claw their way out. She sets up some cameras and records overnight, and this is what she finds the next day.
Wait for it. There! Did you see that flash?
And this is the same shot from a different angle. Also, notice how the gate opens here. Okay, so this frowning man wearing a helmet is what the image looks like when the video is stopped. Is this special effects, or did a spirit really come face to face with the camera moments after opening the entrance? A Ring camera caught yet another attempted intruder in the act. Actually, this time too. Published to YouTube in a Ring cam video by Full Moon Crazies in July of 2019. The surveillance camera was placed behind a lamp and captures a pair of thieves going into a home during the Christmas season. The thieves are partially hiding their faces with their hoodies, and they seem to spy the Ring camera right away as they look directly at it. After gathering some backpacks, likely filled with the taken goods, one of the intruders can be seen knocking the camera down to avoid its capturing further incriminating footage, but he didn't totally succeed. Two more intruders are caught on camera entering the room from the hallway. The clip ends without further explanation. These intruders more than likely made off like bandits, but we can only hope this video evidence was enough to catch them. Either way, this cost them Christmas, as they were sure to end up on Santa's naughty list. This YouTuber is trapped. The hungry beast shreds his backpack and smells more supplies up this tree. All it needs to do is get through this pesky human first.
Hey there.
Down there.
Amazingly, the bear does as told and goes back down upon the hunter's request. I guess seeing a human talk up close like that must have freaked it out because the animal runs away before chancing a look back at the backpack laying on the ground and deciding against it. Of all the weird things I've ever seen caught on camera in the woods, this has to be one of the weirdest and scariest videos ever, because there's no doubt it's absolutely real. A YouTube channel called The Scories has been receiving constant harassment from Project Zorgo for some time now. Nobody knows exactly what Project Zorgo wants from them, so they teamed up with some other YouTubers who have been targeted as well to get to the bottom of the situation. It isn't long before they find a mysterious folder on their laptop that none of them have ever seen before. Obviously, it was placed there recently by somebody who wanted it to be discovered. The title of the folder is simply called Hacker. They are afraid to click on the folder at first, but finally they decide that it must be done if they want to solve anything. Inside are a bunch of aerial photos taken of them a long time ago.
That is
that was
so
vlogging?
weird. No,
That's
that's
so weird.
literally we're vlogging
so
right
weird.
there. Look, it's moving, it's moving, it's
Wait,
moving.
what?
If this is real, then it's clear Project Zorgo has been watching them for quite some time. As if this wasn't enough, Project Zorgo has since demonstrated its ability to take complete control over their channel whenever they want.
We have successfully taken control of the Scories channel. You will only be able to watch the videos we allow you to watch.
Exactly what Project Zorgo has in store for this channel is anyone's guess, but based on their past activity, I doubt it's anything good. You have phantom coworkers? Well, you're not the only one. Published by David Condley in February of 2017, this security footage was captured at around 5 in the morning. The video doesn't identify the workplace, but the footage shows a reception area, perhaps of a hotel. A man is sitting at the front desk on a computer when this happens. Maybe it's just a breeze, or so you would think, as the man stares at the piece of paper perplexed. A tree in the corner of the room starts to shake. This prompts the man to jump to his feet in shock. Spooky noise ensues, and this creepy combination sends the man leaping over the counter and fleeing this haunted place. Are his coworkers playing a trick on him? Or are his coworkers ghosts? Either way, he might want to start checking the job ads. Thank you so much for getting me to 40,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Can you help me reach 50,000 subscribers? Thank you.